Fernando Alonso was once asked about the two Formula One drivers who impressed him the most. Surprisingly, he didn't mention his former rival and teammate Lewis Hamilton, even though Hamilton is one of the most successful drivers in the sport. This is just one example of several times Alonso has shown he isn't a big fan of Hamilton. They've had a history of trash-talking each other throughout their long careers. So why doesn't Alonso seem to like Hamilton? Let's find out. Fernando Alonso has been around for a long time, longer than anyone else. He started in 2001 and raced against big names like Michael Schumacher, Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, and Lewis Hamilton. His journey spanned from the Schumacher era to the Verstappen era, a remarkable testament to his enduring presence in the sport. Yet the rivalry with Lewis Hamilton takes center stage in Alonso's storied career. Their rivalry goes way back to 2007, when Hamilton busted into the F1 scene. Back in 2007, Alonso had won 2 titles in a row. At that time, Hamilton was new to Formula One, coming from the GP2 series. He joined McLaren Mercedes and, to everyone's surprise, he became Alonso's teammate. No one expected him to challenge Fernando Alonso. He was just one rookie we all thought would be second fiddle to the almighty Alonso. Little did we know that we were wrong. McLaren alongside Ferrari dominated the headlines that year as frontrunners, and the season was expected to be an exciting battle between Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen. But Hamilton wasn't ready to be a number 2 driver. He wanted to dominate the grid from the get-go. This resulted in Alonso and Hamilton's relationship getting sour, with arguments and fights on and off the track. It was a clash of experience and new talent. It all kicked off during the qualifying rounds in Melbourne. Lewis Hamilton showed his speed, beating Alonso by 0.2 of a second in the first part. But Alonso, doing something unexpected, took an extra lap in the second part, putting him ahead of Hamilton. As the tension built up to the final part of qualifying, Alonso secured the second spot, with Hamilton carrying more fuel and landing in 4th. This hinted that Hamilton was a force to be reckoned with. He cleverly passed both Kubica and Alonso, showing off his knack for judging braking points, a skill we'd see in races to come. The race was a nail-biter, with Hamilton making a fantastic start and leading for a while. But Alonso's determination won in the end, and he claimed victory. However, things changed in Bahrain, where Hamilton triumphed over Alonso for the first time. Brake issues plagued Alonso and he finished 5th, behind Heidfeld. In Spain, Alonso had a chance to beat Hamilton, but an attempt to pass Massa at the first corner led to a mistake, allowing Hamilton to take the lead in the championship. Amidst these ups and downs, Alonso claimed his second win in Monte Carlo, but the threat of Hamilton catching up loomed large. Hamilton's near outperformance of Alonso in qualifying, interrupted only by an encounter with Mark Webber's Red Bull, hinted at the intensifying competition. McLaren made an early pit stop for Lewis Hamilton to add fuel in that race. They did this to avoid problems if a safety car came out, but this strategy made Hamilton lose a chance to win the race. Hamilton wasn't happy with how things were done during the race, and he mentioned some things in the press conference.
Here they tell you to possibly slow down or to keep the gap to the back of the car. You know, I'm a racer, I want to keep pushing right into the...
But suggested something was going on with the team's decisions. This led the FIA to look into whether McLaren was using team orders. Eventually, McLaren was found innocent, but it drew much attention to the growing rivalry between Hamilton and his teammate Fernando Alonso. This was just the tip of the iceberg. Things got tense between Alonso and Hamilton in Montreal. Hamilton got his first pole position, but had a tough time after a not-so-great start. Alonso tried to pass him at the first corner like in Spain, but fell back. Luck favoured Hamilton this time. During a safety car appearance, Alonso stopped when the pit lane was closed. This mistake got him a penalty, and he ended up finishing 7th. Around this time, Alonso hinted that things weren't right in the McLaren team. He felt uneasy as a Spanish driver with a British teammate, Hamilton in a British team. Alonso believed that support was favouring Hamilton more. At Indianapolis, things didn't get better. Hamilton won again, but Alonso, frustrated at being unable to pass Hamilton, drove right up to his pit wall after a failed attempt. The rivalry between the two drivers was getting more intense as the season went on. The clash between Alonso and Hamilton hit a breaking point at the Hungarian, creating a mess that would affect McLaren for a long time. Hamilton sensed Alonso trying to take control and played a tricky game during qualifying. McLaren had a tricky way of ensuring both drivers were treated equally, involving a fuel advantage for one during qualifying at certain tracks. The Hungarian was one of them, and Alonso was supposed to get the advantage. But things went haywire when Hamilton didn't follow the plan and refused to let Alonso lead in qualifying. This made Alonso angry, and he decided to take matters into his own hands by blocking Hamilton in the pits. That turned out to be a terrible move. Knowing the rule against blocking during qualifying, Alonso had clearly obstructed Hamilton, leading to inevitable consequences. The race ended with Hamilton winning and Alonso finishing 4th. While the on-track issues were visible, a bigger problem was brewing behind the scenes at McLaren. The team was already in trouble for having some of Ferrari's secret information. Furious about everything, Alonso told team boss Ron Dennis about some emails that could worsen things. Threatening to spill these details to the FIA added more fuel to the internal problems at McLaren. The Italian and Belgian Grand Prix continued to show how things were getting worse between Alonso and Hamilton. In Monza, Hamilton played it smart, leaving just enough space. But Alonso took a more aggressive approach in Spa, pushing Hamilton wide. The Japanese Grand Prix set the stage for a compelling showdown. When asked about Alonso's loyalty to McLaren, Hamilton had doubts, mentioning how the team tried hard to make the reigning world champion feel comfortable. Hamilton narrowly grabbed the pole position, and in the race, he built a big lead over Alonso, who later crashed out. With a 12-point lead, the championship was now Hamilton's to lose. Then came the big blunder during the Chinese race. A mistake by McLaren and Hamilton left him struggling with ruined tyres, and he couldn't finish the race. Despite this setback, Hamilton went into the final race with a 4-point lead over Alonso and 7 points over Raikkonen. Dennis, McLaren's boss, commented after the mistake that fueled suspicions. He said, "We weren't racing Kimi, we were basically racing Fernando." This made people wonder if the team was truly behind Alonso. Alonso at first downplayed Dennis's remark, but after the championship was decided, he hinted that it was a big deal. He saw it as a declaration of intent. Responding to Alonso's concerns, the FIA appointed a steward to watch over the McLaren pit while qualifying at Interlagos. They found everything suitable. During the final race, Alonso made a smart move, slowing down early, which caused Hamilton to slide off the track. Hamilton's gearbox problem made things worse. Even though he tried to recover, Alonso finished behind the Ferraris. They were neck and neck the whole season, getting 109 points in the end. They each won 4 races, but Hamilton had more second-place finishes, 6 to Alonso's 4, which put him ahead in the final ranking. As expected, Alonso complained about McLaren appealing about some drivers who finished between them, suggesting they might have used illegal fuel. He called it a joke, saying there were already too many jokes in the sport. Even when FIA stewards found no issues, Alonso stuck to his claims that the team didn't treat him fairly. He felt like his hands and feet were tied in the last races. He had to do everything the way the team said, making catching up harder. No doubt their rivalry was intense, and there was a tense atmosphere in McLaren back then. But things are different now. They are friends and have much more respect for each other, with Hamilton often saying Alonso is the best racer he has faced.